Hello, my name is Dara Tomasson. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I love that you come and check it all out. And today is going to be Client Corner. Have you seen any of my other Client Corners? They're super fun. And by the way, my YouTube channel comes out every Wednesday at noon Pacific time. So if you don't want to miss one, which I'm sure you wouldn't want to, you just have to subscribe and then you're good to go. Okay, so today's Client Corner is super Canadian. And as you know, I live, or if you don't know, I live on Vancouver Island up in Canada. And so this is one of my clients' quilts. And so I wanted to show it to you. Now, this quilt has every province and territory in our country. And so she went through it and then she actually added, she had an embroidery machine, and so she added the provincial flower for every province. So I think that was really beautiful. Now, one of the things that happens when you have a sampler quilt like this that has the variety is that it can be overwhelming to know your balance of how much quilting to the actual art that's on the quilt. So there's a lot of, this quilt has been all appliqué. There's lots of different colors, there's lots of different fabrics. So trying to find the balance between how much of a dense quilting you want to do, how much quilting you want to put on there, is kind of a tricky thing. Now, one of the things that I always ask, you guys should know this by now, when a client brings a quilt, or if I have my own quilt, what is the purpose of this quilt? Is this quilt going to be, am I going to be snuggling with this on the couch? Or am I going to be wall hanging, putting it on the wall to celebrate the beauty of my country? And so knowing that if it's going to be hung on a wall compared to on the couch is the amount of quilting that you want to do. Now, because each block is so unique, I like to give it a unique look. So for example, some of these blocks many of them have water, but I don't want to have to do my water the same every time. So I can decide how that's going to come together. So that's something to consider. Also, there's a lot of sky. And so I didn't want to have different sky do the same thing on every sky. I wanted to have variety and impact on it. Okay, so on these blocks, there's many things. So these blocks all have very similar features. There's a lot of sky, there's a lot of water, there's a lot of nature. So for example, if I took the sky, I don't necessarily want to quilt the sky always the same. I want to have some variety. The same thing with the water. So I needed to really expand how I was thinking about what water looks like. So for example, here, where we have the whales, I did some different texture in there, but when it had the, down here, where there was the lake, I just did some splashing and just did some different echoing. I created over here, when you throw a pebble in the water and it echoes. So I created different interest and different treatment of the water because I really wanted that to have interest. The other thing I did with the sky. So for example, here, there is a lot of different action on this block. So I didn't actually want to put a lot of detail into the sky. So I left it blank. Then over here, same thing. There wasn't a lot of sky, so I can just leave that blank. In here though, oh, that was the water. And then on here with the sky, I actually outlined the pink and then I created, kind of echo that same kind of design. I call these my hoodoos, but that same kind of design within there for the sky treatment. Oh, here for the mountains, I actually echoed the mountains and created that texture. And it almost has a bit of that aurora borealis kind of effect. But then but then contrasting to the side here, I treated the sky differently. So she has the aurora here. And then so I just created the sky part all the same. And then the aurora was just highlighted. Like I just stitched in the ditch there. So that kind of creates a different look for the sky. Same thing here. I just was able to stitch in for the clouds. And then up here, I created just 3 separate clouds in here. So that's different. Here, I actually did quite a bit of the quilting. This is rows, like a field. And then I kind of echoed that same kind of design in the sky. And okay, so then on the top one, I just did a little bit, and then I just made this long and mimicked the same kind of design that's already there, which like sometimes you just don't need to reinvent the wheel. You know what I'm saying? And then up here, I just added some swirly cloud kind of action going on. And so what happens when you do this kind of thing, when you think about things differently, it adds so much more variety and interest to the quilt. So when your customer comes to pick it up, they're going to be like amazed. When people look at their quilts, they're just going to think this is really, really interesting. So, and guess what? As a quilter, you had way more fun because you did different things. All right, so now I'm just going to talk a little bit about the border. I love a classic feather. And so, but what I needed to make sure when I was doing my feather was that it was a little bit of a larger scale. I like quilting things like intensely. Thank you so much for joining me for Client Corner. If you have any questions at all, I'd love to read all of your comments. And I just want to encourage you to go to your closet or go to your client's quilts with a new look, a new mind of exploration of all the different possibilities, because truly your imagination is your limitation. All right, thank you so much for joining me, and have so much fun creating on the quilts that you're going to be doing. And I'd love for you to share them with me. Take care, everyone. Until next time.